Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing with Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 13, Nature, Enjoyer, and Consciousness. Text number 27. I'll read in Sanskrit and then translation in English by Srila Prabhupada. Yava sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam kshetra na samyoga tadvidhi bharata rishabha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unaitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we have noticed that so far Krishna has been answering Arjuna's questions. The first question he asked in the beginning is, what is the field of activities? And Krishna said, it is this body. This body is a field of activities. And then who is the knower of this field of activities? And Krishna said it's the spirit soul. The spirit soul that we really are, which is inside this body. So we learned both the field of activities and the knower of the field of activities. So Srila Prabhupada explains that there is a difference between body and soul, which we already learned in chapter 2, that the body is temporary, but the soul is eternal. And this body is made up of material elements like earth, water, fire, air, ether. And so Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that this whole creation, it's a combination of living entities, that is all the spirit souls and this material nature. And here Krishna is talking about both moving and non-moving. You see, non-moving like the trees, the grass, the mountains, the hills, etc. Just as we have understood in chapter 8 about the different energies of Krishna. So there are 3 different main energies. That's the external, the internal, and marginal. So we living entities, the spirit souls, we are of superior nature and we are considered to be the marginal energy of Krishna. Why? Because we have the, you can say, minute independence to decide whether we want to elevate ourselves to internal energy or degrade ourselves. So this is possible only when the actions are as per the scriptures. Just like we learned in chapter 3 and 5 of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So as we sow, so shall we reap. So based on our activities, we will get either rewarded or punished. Many times I give this example that if I'm going to sow the seeds of lemon, I cannot expect mangoes to grow because I made the choice of sowing the seeds of lemon. Now, if I want mangoes, then I need to sow the seeds of mangoes. So that is what we learned in chapter 3 and 5. So here in this verse that we read, we do 3 verses today, that Krishna is stressing the importance of the living entity, which is the spirit soul, because it is the soul that gives life to this body. No one has seen the soul. We learned in chapter 2 that soul is 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. You see, just the tip of the hair. So it's not possible to see the soul with our material eyes, but we can experience it with consciousness. So that is the difference between a dead body and a living body. When there is the spirit soul inside the body, then the body is alive, it is conscious. So importance should be given to the spirit soul also. And the body is growing from, childhood to youth to old age because of the presence of the spirit soul. Now, in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explained to Arjuna about the basic foundation of spirituality, which is very, very important to understand. I am not this body. You see, as long as we are on the bodily concept of life, we will not be able to really understand the purpose of human form of life. We will only be working on the bodily concept, on the body platform, which is just taking care of the body. What about the spirit soul that we really are? So if we can remember on a daily basis that there is a spirit soul, which is real me, which is inside the body, situated in the heart, then we will start gradually progressing on the spiritual path. Yes, there is no harm in progressing materially. For instance, getting a better job, earning more money, getting a better house or a better car, etc., etc. There's nothing wrong in that, but we need to understand that both need to go together, material life as well as the spiritual life. Now, this body, as I mentioned last week, this body is given to us on lease, just like we have rental lease. This is on lease, and we are not the owners of these bodies. And just as we lease an apartment, we need to follow the rules of the owner of that apartment, whatever the management company may be, there are certain rules that we need to follow. So similarly, this body has been given to us on lease, and we need to follow God's laws. And the laws are already mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that we are studying every Wednesday. And of course, I've also mentioned this analogy many times, that just as, say, for instance, recently someone banged my car and kind of damaged it quite a bit. So just supposing I go to buy a new car, then I need to follow the owner's manual. If it says that I need to put, X number of gas in the car, that's what I do. I cannot put diesel in my car if it is not recommended, right? So similarly, this body is given to us on lease, and it comes along with it the owner's manual, and we need to follow those instructions, and then this body will function properly. It's like a car, body is like a car, and whatever we will put inside the body, that is what there's going to be the reaction. So since we have the intelligence, much better intelligence than the animals, then we need to think about it. We need to think. We need to discriminate, what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what I should eat, what I should not eat, So discriminate as far as the food is concerned, the environment, the association, with whom are we, associating. So when we start thinking in these terms, then we will actually be using the material body in the correct form. And it should be in such a way that our consciousness is purified. Of course, Bhagavad Gita teaches us about how to control the mind, how to control the senses, how to use the intelligence, how to control the body, and how to change the consciousness so that it is conducive to spirituality. See, this human body is a huge responsibility. Since it is called the human body, we should act like human beings, right? If we had animal body, then naturally we would act like animals. So Krishna, from chapter 2 onwards, he's been guiding us. He's been explaining to us, about the spirit soul, about how karma works, how to lead a karma-free life. Very, very important, because good actions also have good reactions, just like bad actions have bad reactions. So if we even do good actions, it'll take a long time to explain how karma works, but to give you a little bit of, kind of in a summary form, good actions also have good reactions, which means that the Lord has to give us another birth in this material world so that we can reap the benefits of our good actions. You see, maybe a lot of beauty, a lot of knowledge, a lot of wealth, a lot of fame. It could be in any form, to get those good reactions. But an intelligent person will think, do I really want to come back into this material world? Why not I go to a place where there is permanent happiness? And in all this scenario, mind plays a very important role. That's why the topic for today is, mind is like a child. It needs to be trained. Just like I have a grown-up son, I raised him, from the birth. So we had to train the child, we had to teach the child what is right, what's wrong, discipline the child. So it takes a lot of effort to do that, right? And it's not that we say one time, okay, you got to do your homework and the child is going to do the homework. No, we got to keep repeating. We got to train the child that what is important, what the child needs to do, what is harmful for the child, etc., etc. So that is called training, disciplining the child, training. Similarly, the mind needs to be trained. If we leave the mind as it is, it can create havoc in our lives. It will just do what it wants to do, and that may be right, may not be right. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us how, with the help of knowledge, we can understand, first of all, I am not this body and I am the spirit soul. That is the first lesson of the Bhagavad Gita. Once we understand that, and then along with that, if we add certain steps in the process, for instance, mantra meditation, when we excuse me, when we start chanting the mantra on a daily basis, that clears the mind up. It clears up the consciousness. It removes all the negativity from the mind, and it helps to control the mind. You see, let's take an example. I've given this a couple of times before. Excuse me. Let's say there is a chariot and there are 5 horses, and the horses, of course, in the chariot, there is a driver and there is a passenger. And for the driver to, start moving the chariot, the driver has to hold on to the reins, that are attached to the horses. So let us imagine, excuse me, that these 5 horses of the chariot are the 5 senses: ear, nose, eyes, etc. And the reins are considered to be the mind. The driver, let's consider, is the intelligence, and the passenger is the soul, and the whole chariot is the body. So the body is the chariot. Soul is sitting as a passenger. Intelligence has the reins in hand, the driver, which is intelligence is holding on to the mind. So if the driver is the intelligence is controlling the mind, that is the reins, then the horses will automatically be in control. That means the senses will be under control. So to control the senses, the mind has to be controlled. And to control the mind, the intelligence has to play an important part. And how does the intelligence work? Intelligence works based on the knowledge. You see? So in the Bhagavad Gita, step by step, the process is given how we can train the mind like we train the child, so that the mind does not go haywire, so that the mind does not create a lot of negativity, so that the mind is very, very peaceful. You see, until and unless the mind is peaceful, there's going to be no happiness at all. So here, Krishna is explaining to us the difference between body and soul. In the very next verse, number 28, he says, one who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Very, very important words. What is Krishna trying to say is that there is a soul in the body, and there is the super soul in the body, which is the Supreme Lord, and they are both situated in the heart of the destructible body. That means this body has a beginning and an end, which means it takes birth and it dies. So the body is destructible, but the spirit soul is eternal. That is what we learned in chapter 2. So, and here Krishna says that the soul and the super soul, they travel in all different bodies. So this today I have this human form of body. So the Lord is situated in my heart, excuse me, just like in your heart. And just like I am the spirit soul in the heart, you are also the spirit soul situated in the heart of your body. And Krishna says again and again, it travels in all different bodies. And what is the purpose of the super soul accompanying the soul in different bodies? We already learned last week. The Lord is there to guide us, of course, to witness our activities, but also to guide us and show us how we should live this human form of life in such a way that we can reach our eternal goal, which is the spiritual world. Again and again, Krishna is stressing on the importance of the soul and the spirit soul. Now, what does he actually mean? He sees, he's talking about seeing. Who is that person who is actually seeing? He says, those who have this knowledge that the soul and the super soul are eternal and the body is destructible. They are the ones who are in knowledge, and they are the ones who are seeing properly, seeing through the eyes of the Bhagavad Gita. So the question is, if this body is destructible, why are we struggling so much to satisfy this temporary body? Krishna doesn't say do not take care of the body. Definitely, we need to take care of our body, because until and unless we maintain the body and soul together, we cannot operate. We cannot do anything, right? To maintain the body, we got to go to a job. We have to earn money, bring food on the table, take care of the family, etc. Sure, we can all do that. But simultaneously, we also need to progress spiritually. In other sense, we need to realize what is the purpose of human form of life. It's not just eat, sleep, and be merry. No, we have to give importance to the soul also. Just like we feed the body every day, we need to feed the soul also. Now the question arises, what is the food for the soul, right? For the body, we know, bread, butter, rice, and vegetables, fruits, whatever it is, food we know. For the body, what about the soul? The Bhagavad Gita teaches us that the food for the soul is the mantra meditation. Man means mind, and tra means to free the mind of all anxieties. So when we chant the holy names of the Lord, that is the food for the soul. You can say it's the fuel for the soul, and soul is the most important. The moment the soul leaves the body is useless. The scientist Harry Monson, he discovered from his research that the value of a body without the soul, which means a dead body, is $5.60. That's about it, based on whatever chemicals are left in the dead body. So soul is very, very important. And we need to understand that one day this body is going to be destroyed. We cannot keep it forever, but it becomes easier to understand when we have good association, just like today. I'm so grateful to all of you for joining this event and hearing about the Bhagavad Gita. We are all associating with each other. We are associating with the Bhagavad Gita. We are actually associating with the words of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And we are learning how we can utilize this rare human form of life in the very right way. So in this verse, Krishna says, when we see someone, just like I'm seeing all of you, of course, I'm only seeing the names on the screen, but just like you are seeing me. So when you see me, Krishna says, try to understand that I am a spirit soul, that there is a soul inside and that there is a super soul also inside that. When we always remember this, when we are conscious of this, then we can say we are actually in knowledge. And it becomes very easy when we start associating with spiritually inclined people. The devotees of the Lord, just like the Lord in the heart can guide us, similarly, the devotees of the Lord can also guide us. They can actually remove our ignorance with the help of knowledge. So here, we've already learned in this chapter where Krishna says, even he said that before, that based on our karma, based on our past actions, we are going to get our next body, which means right now we are placing an order for our next life. What kind of body do we want? Now, when I was reading these verses, I was thinking that why is Krishna repeating again and again that you are not this body, you're the spirit soul, that I'm the super soul situated in the body. Why? Because it's a very important topic to understand. Until and unless we understand that, we will remain on the bodily concept of life, which means we will only think about the body. Let's take the last verse for today, 29, and see what Krishna has to say. He says, one who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. What a powerful verse. So what do we learn from this? That we need to see the Lord, we need to see Krishna in all living entities. All means all, not just human beings, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, all living entities. We need to see the Lord present in their hearts also. See, so when here Krishna is saying that we see the Lord in everyone's heart, that means we have to be compassionate to all living entities. Does that make sense? We have to be compassionate to animals, to birds, to insects, to everybody, all living entities. And how can we show compassion? We can show compassion by not harming them, by not causing any harm to other living entities. You see, that is real compassion, which means that we should not eat animals, because I remember reading a research done by a scientist. I even have a book on that. Maybe next time I'll share it, which had a very nice tabular information where it said that the human beings are like herbivorous animals. And, we are not carnivorous, not like carnivorous animals, which means human beings, their bodies are designed in such a way that they can only digest vegetarian food, like the cows and the horses, the herbivorous animals. Why? Because that is the right way to live. That is to show compassion even to the animals. No one likes to die. Now, if the animal had philosophical intelligence, the animal would not allow us to kill him, just for our enjoyment. No. So we need to understand from this verse that we need to see the Lord in all living entities. Now, when we go to next chapter number 14, which is the modes of material nature, where Krishna talks about ignorance, passion, and goodness, there we will learn that even the food, excuse me, even the food falls in different categories. So animal food falls in the category of ignorance, just like there is a saying, you are what you eat. So whatever we will put in our body, that is how our consciousness is going to be. So here we're talking about controlling the mind, and the mind can be controlled only when we use the intelligence, especially the philosophical intelligence, which has been given only to the human being. So here, Arjuna has been given this knowledge by Krishna. In fact, this verse that we just read is giving us a formula how not to degrade the mind. You see, when we started the class today, we heard about living entities, human beings being the marginal energies. That means they have a capacity to elevate themselves with the right consciousness or degrade themselves. Both are possible. So why not elevate our consciousness? And that is possible when we are able to control the mind and not let it degrade us, you see, because mind is where everything happens. You see, the desires, everything happens in the mind, and whatever desires appear in the mind, that mind wants to put it into action, right? The desires wants those desires to be fulfilled, and that's how the actions happen. But if the mind is controlled, then the senses also automatically get controlled. But if the mind is not trained, then the senses along with the mind will make us go down. There's going to be degrading ourselves. So Krishna has already explained to us in the previous chapters how to control the mind. There are two things he says: constant practice and detachment. These are the two aspects of controlling the mind. Constant practice. Now, practice what? That's a big question. Practice what? First of all, practice mantra meditation. See, just like when I have a disease, I go to the doctor, and the doctor gives me a prescription, says, okay, you got to take, this maybe yellow tablet 3 times a day for X number of days, whatever. So if I really want to get rid of the disease, then I got to follow that prescription. And once I follow that prescription, and wow, I'm cured of my disease, hopefully. So here, for us to control the mind, the first thing is to do that mantra meditation. That is those sound vibrations, those spiritual sound vibrations, they are so potent, especially for people like us in this age, where there is so much anxiety, there's so much stress, the mind is disturbed, and there is agitation, irritation, so much is going on in the mind. What should we do? So the Lord has given us a mantra. That mantra, when we chant, especially this mantra that I'm going to put in the chat, it's called the Maha Mantra. Maha means the greatest chant. And why? Because all the Vedas, they have innumerable mantras mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. So this Maha Mantra it's a combination of all those mantras put together and just into 16 words. That's about it. So when we chant this Maha Mantra, we are actually chanting all the mantras of the Vedas, all of them, and getting the potency of all those different mantras. And it's very, very simple. So when we start doing that on a regular basis, then our consciousness starts changing. Then gradually, if we are in the level of mode of ignorance, we start coming to passion, and then we start coming to goodness. And it just doesn't end there. After that, if you're really good in that meditation, then we can transcend these three modes and go to pure goodness. And that is the state when the mind is fully in control. It is completely trained, and a person can feel complete happiness. I have been chanting this for 35 years, every day, non-stop for 2 hours. And I will tell you from my personal experience, it is like a magic formula. It's absolutely magical. I'm not trying to sell the mantra. I'm just sharing my experience that I have experienced. And you can ask my husband, maybe one day I'll bring him on Zoom as well. And you can ask him what changes he has seen in me. It's just, it's very, very simple, but the result is profound. So here we can see that Krishna, he's saying constant practice and detachment. Detachment from what? We are so attached in this material world. We are attached to so many things, so many possessions, so many people. There's nothing wrong in that. As long as we know who we are, where have we come from, why are we suffering, where do we need to go from here, and what is the process to attain permanent happiness and peace. As long as we have all that knowledge, no problem at all. We will be completely happy and peaceful. So that when we have that knowledge, that will bring about detachment. And when we chant, we will start getting attached to Krishna. And then that will automatically bring detachment from something that is unnecessary. So controlling the mind will take us to our transcendental destination. But we need to understand our spiritual nature. What is our constitutional position? Our position is that we are spirit souls. We are eternal. In chapter 2, Krishna says, Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. That for the soul, there is no birth, no death. It is eternal. We are ever existing. We are all eternal. But unfortunately, in this material world, we get so engrossed in materialism that we start only trying to satisfy our senses and then getting frustrated. Our happiness is short-lived. Like, my grandson will say, Grandma, a new iPhone is coming out. Okay, you get the new iPhone, you get it, you're happy. And after a month or two, you come to know, oh, the new model is going to come out. And then your happiness is short-lived, you see. But here we can see Krishna is trying to explain to us the importance of understanding there is a spirit soul in the body, and the Lord is situated in the heart as the super soul. So when we try to focus on that, then we will stop ourselves from degrading to destructive mentality, right? We will start advancing and changing our consciousness. So mind is like a child. It needs training, and the training starts with sharpening our intelligence with the help of knowledge. And the training starts with understanding I'm not this body, but I'm the spirit soul. The training starts by chanting the holy names of the Lord, hearing, like we are hearing right now from the Bhagavad Gita, hearing, associating with like-minded people, eating the right food. So this is all what helps training the mind. And most important, regularity is the key. It's not that we just like the doctor is giving me medication. It's not that I take the medicine today and then I forget 2 weeks, and then maybe after a month I take another pill, and then maybe after 6 months another pill. So then it's going to take a very long time. So similarly, for the mind to be trained, there has to be regularity. Now you see, 2023 has already begun. We have already finished the whole month of January. We are already in the month of February. Have we made any plans this year? Usually people make plans, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I want this position in my company, or I want to learn music, or whatever it may be, all different plans. How about any spiritual plans? Why not make some spiritual plans also? Time is flying by. We started the class at 7:30. It's 8:04 right now. We've already, lost 35 minutes. Of course, we didn't lose it because we were gaining knowledge. But the point is that 35 minutes are gone. We can never go back to February 1st, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We can never go back. You see, that time is gone. So it's important to be a little more serious and, take this human form of life very seriously and train the mind. So then it'll be very easy, it'll be very easy to attain complete happiness, or you can say permanent happiness. So these are the three verses that we took today. And I am going to post some links if you are interested in joining the WhatsApp group, or YouTube channel has the previous classes from chapter 1 onwards. And then also there is, you can see there is towards the end is the mantra that I was talking about, chanting it, doing that meditation, which can bring about complete peace and happiness. And like every class, after the class, we chant for a few minutes. And if you like, you can join me too in chanting that Maha Mantra and see for yourself how happy you feel. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So you see, it's very simple to chant. There are 108 beads in this string of beads, and it takes about 10 minutes to chant this 108 times. And it would be nice if you can spend 10 minutes every day just chanting this mantra, and you will see the change in your consciousness. So I am going to end now. If anyone has any questions or, or comments, you are very welcome to ask.